Welt pockets suck!
Did somebody say Welt pockets suck? Well, they obviously haven't made pockets for me. I'm Jen with Untitled Patterns, and we're gonna make some Welt pockets today. Come on, let's go. Okay guys, let's get started with this Welt pocket. Today I'm going to be using the Pogo Pattern, which has a optional Welt pocket in the back. So I have cut out my back pattern piece. This is actually the shorts version. There is a pants view as well, but the tutorial is the same for either way. And then I cut out my Welt piece. And then I also have my pocket bag piece. In addition to that, you're gonna wanna cut out some interfacing using your Welt pocket piece. So you'll want 4 pieces of interfacing and 2 pieces of your Welt, your pant back, and your pocket bag. First things first, we are going to add one of these Welt pocket squares of the interfacing to the wrong side of your fabric. This fabric is actually the same back and front. So we are just going to use it like this. So I am going to lift this up and kind of place this over where my Welt pocket goes. Double check it. And then I'm gonna run over to the iron and I'm gonna give this a good press. While I'm there, I'm also going to be pressing the interfacing onto the Welt pocket piece and then folding it in half and giving this a press as well. Now that I have fused my interfacing to basically where the pocket box is going to be, and I've also added the interfacing to the Welt piece and folded that in half and pressed, we are now going to mark with some pins where this actual box is. I tend to not mark my fabric. It's just something I've never really done. So I actually use pins to do this. So I'm going to just flip this up a little bit and mark with a pin where my ends of the pocket box are. Okay, now we have our pins marking where we are going to be stitching both our Welt piece and our pocket bag. So we're going to place this kind of evenly over in the center between these 2 pins. Okay, we're going to be stitching from pin to pin at 1/4 inch across this Welt box or Welt piece. Then we're going to place the top of our Welt pocket to the top of the box. And again, we're going to be sewing 1/4 inch from the exact same spot we started over here, from here over to here. We want to make sure these stop and start at the same place on both of these pieces so that we don't have wonky angles for our Welt pocket. All right, I'm going to go stitch this on and I'll be right back. Now we have stitched both our Welt piece and our pocket bag on. We stopped and started it at the same spot on both sides. And I'll show you the back here. If you're wondering why do we add this interfacing, a couple of different reasons. This often will just stabilize this box a little bit more, especially if you're using a lighter weight fabric. It also helps if you don't really have a great way to finish off your seams on the inside. If you're not able to use a serger or pinking shears, it just keeps this fabric from unraveling and makes things a little bit easier. So now that we have our 2 lines stitched on, it's time to cut this baby open. Point of no return. So we're going to slice in the center And then we are going to slice almost all the way up. Make sure you're only catching the shorts layer and not any of your pocket bag. And once we get up to this point here, almost to the edge, we're going to cut over to the edges of our pocket box. And you want to try to clip as close as possible to that pocket box so that everything turns nicely. And once you do one side, you gotta do the other side. Okay, now that we have this open, we are gonna hop on over to the iron and we're gonna be flipping all of this towards the back. So all of this goes to the wrong side of your fabric. And we're just gonna be kind of tucking everything and pressing everything back before we head on to the next step. Here we go. We have everything nice and pressed. Really take your time in kind of turning back these little triangle edges so that you get nice corners, okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're gonna be attaching the bottom of the pocket bag to the bottom of the welt. So we're just gonna line those two edges up and we are going to be stitching along right in kind of that same seam line that you've already stitched on. It could be just to the inside if you want, but get as close as possible. Don't go over the line. Now that we have stitched the bottom of our welt pocket, we're going to start to finish things up. So I just want to make a note. If you are interested in serging your hems here or finishing them, you could serge them, or you could use some pinking shears or do a quick zigzag stitch over. And the same goes for this seam here. The way I'm going to show you guys how to do it, this actually gets covered up and you won't really see it in your final product, but it's there, and if you would like to finish it, you sure can. Okay, so next we are going to be adding some top stitching. Again, if you don't want any top stitching on your welt pocket, you can definitely just sew up your sides here, catching this little triangle piece and be done with it. That's definitely one option. It's just not the way I do it in a pogo pattern, and I really personally prefer some top stitching. I think it just adds a little bit of help with stability in a lighter weight fabric, but completely your choice. So we are going to be flipping this over, and while pushing our pocket bag out of the way, we are going to do a top stitching line across the bottom of the welt pocket, all while moving this back pocket bag out of the way and just stitching through this pocket bag part. Okay, and then once we are done with that, then we are going to fold up just about 1/2 inch up for our pocket bag, and we are going to stitch all the way around this pocket bag here, or this pocket box here. But this time when we do that, we're going to be going through the entire pocket bag, okay? And it's going to catch it and you'll be able to see it on this back side. We are almost finished. Okay, I added all of my top stitching. So again, I only top stitched through this top layer and this one layer of the pocket so I could still fit my hand in. But then I flipped up the pocket box or the pocket bag and then stitched through all the layers when I did my top stitching for the top part of the welt pocket. Okay, last step is going to be stitching up the sides of the bag. So all we're gonna do is come in and stitch all the way down on both sides and then add your seam finishing of choice. So you could do some serging, you could use pinking shears, you could do a zigzag stitch, or you could even do Hong Kong seams if it wasn't too bulky for your fabric. Well, 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 we have a finished welt pocket. I went ahead and just did a quick pinking shear edge along this to finish it off, and it is complete. Now, time to do the other side.